Jeffrey Dahmer became one of the most widely recognized figures in American criminal history due to a series of serious incidents that occurred over many years in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was later convicted in connection with the deaths of 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee. He grew up in a middle-class family that later relocated to Ohio. As a child, Dahmer was described as quiet and somewhat withdrawn, showing interest in collecting specimens and observing animals. His parents' relationship became strained over time, leading to a divorce during his high school years. Dahmer briefly attended Ohio State University, but left after one term and enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1979. He served in Germany for a period, but faced difficulties with alcohol use and was discharged in 1981 after less than 2 years. He returned to Ohio for a time, then moved back to Milwaukee to live with his grandmother in the early 1980s. During this period, he held various jobs and lived independently in Milwaukee apartments. In 1986, he faced legal trouble related to public behavior and served a short sentence. In 1988, he was arrested again in connection with an incident involving a minor and received a 10-month work release sentence. After his release, he continued living alone in Milwaukee, working at a chocolate factory and other positions. His early adult years were marked by periods of isolation and alcohol use. The first serious incident occurred in June 1978, when he was 18. Dahmer met an individual and brought him to his family home in Ohio. The situation ended tragically, and the matter went undetected at the time. Over the following years, similar incidents continued at intervals. Dahmer met young men in public places and invited them to his apartment. These situations often ended with the individuals not surviving. The offenses remained undetected for a long period, partly due to Dahmer's unassuming appearance and the transient nature of many individuals involved. Neighbors occasionally noticed unusual odors, which he explained as related to food or a broken appliance. The circumstances continued until the summer of 1991, when events came to light rapidly. The case broke open on July 22, 1991, when 32-year-old Tracy Edwards escaped from Dahmer's apartment and flagged down Milwaukee police officers. Edwards reported being threatened with a knife and led officers to apartment 213 at 924 North 25th Street. Inside, police discovered Polaroid photographs of dismembered remains, tools, chemicals, and human body parts stored in a refrigerator and freezer. Dahmer was arrested immediately. The apartment contained evidence linking him to multiple offenses, including preserved remains and items used in concealment. Over several days, Dahmer provided a detailed confession to detectives, admitting responsibility for 17 homicides. He described how he had lured victims, the methods used, and how he had disposed of remains over the years. The victims were primarily young men of color in their late teens and early 20s. Many had been met in public places and brought to his apartment under false pretenses. The confession stunned investigators with its level of detail and Dahmer's calm delivery. The case became a national news story, with extensive media coverage of the apartment search and the number of victims. Milwaukee police faced criticism for earlier missed opportunities, including a 1989 incident where a 14-year-old boy escaped Dahmer's apartment but was returned to him by officers who failed to investigate further. The investigation revealed Dahmer had been questioned in connection with missing persons reports but was not linked to the crimes until 1991. In January 1992, Dahmer pleaded guilty but insane to 15 counts of first-degree intentional homicide in Milwaukee County. A separate charge for the 1978 murder was handled in Ohio. The trial centered on his mental state, with defense experts presenting diagnoses including necrophilia, borderline personality disorder, and psychotic features. Prosecutors argued he was fully aware of his actions and planned them deliberately. After 2 weeks of testimony, the jury rejected the insanity defense on February 15, 1992. Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in Wisconsin, plus an additional life term in Ohio. After his conviction, Jeffrey Dahmer was sent to Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. He spent time in protective custody due to threats from other inmates. In May 1994, he was attacked by a fellow inmate and sustained serious injuries but survived. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was killed by another inmate, Christopher Scarver, who struck him with a metal bar from the prison weight room. Scarver also attacked a second inmate. Dahmer was pronounced dead shortly afterward. His death ended any possibility of further interviews or legal proceedings. The case prompted significant public discussion about mental illness, law enforcement oversight, and the handling of high-risk offenders. Milwaukee police were heavily criticized for not connecting earlier missing persons reports and for the 1989 incident involving the 14-year-old boy. The case also raised broader issues of race and policing, as many victims were men of color from vulnerable communities. In the years since, Dahmer has been the subject of numerous documentaries, books, and dramatizations. A 2022 Netflix series, Monster: The Jeffrey Dahmer Story, brought renewed attention, focusing on the victims and systemic failures. The series faced criticism from some victims' families for its portrayal and creative liberties. As of 2026, efforts continue to remember the victims and address the issues raised by the case. The apartment building where the crimes occurred was demolished in 1992, and the site remains vacant. Dahmer's crimes remain one of the most documented and disturbing cases in American criminal history. The number of victims, 17 confirmed, and the duration of the offenses shocked investigators and the public. The case continues to be studied for insights into criminal psychology and prevention. Jeffrey Dahmer was convicted of murdering 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991, leaving behind grieving families, a shaken community, and questions that persist decades later. The apartment discoveries, the missed opportunities, the detailed confession, all serve as a stark reminder of how serious offenses can continue undetected for years. Even in 2026, with renewed documentaries and public discussions, the case remains a sobering example of the darkest aspects of human behavior. What do you think? How could the crimes have gone unnoticed for so long? What lessons should be learned from this case? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. If true crime stories and high-profile cases like this keep you thinking, subscribe to our True Crime and turn on notifications for new deep dives every week. Because some crimes, no matter how much time passes, still leave unanswered questions. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and stay curious.